Liverpool continue to bring in new faces over the summer. Confirmation that Lyon has moved. That's what they're suggesting. The 18-year-old has gone from Italy to England, and the centre-back for about 35 million euros. Isak won't play for Newcastle against Villa. Of course, that still goes on. Mark Guéhi, meanwhile, linked for that move from Crystal Palace to Liverpool, and you take a look at 30 million. It's an absolute bargain if they can get it over the line for the England international. Do they need all those players?
Yes. The simple answer.
Who's the priority?
Yes. The centre-back is the priority.
Right, so
Alexander Isak is not the priority.
Right.
I think anybody who witnessed Liverpool at the weekend and have followed them, Joe Gomez is injured again, and his injury record is not great, unfortunately. He's had terribly bad luck. They sold Jarell Quansah to Bayer Leverkusen, so they... Endo and Gravenberch can play there for the odd game, but they can't play 30, 40 games in case Konate or Virgil van Dijk get injured. So they needed reinforcements, and it looks like they've certainly brought in a youngster. But I think Guéhi is the priority if they are linked with him. I don't think an 18-year-old is, as much as he's got people have spoken about him really, really well, and he's got a great future ahead of him. It's difficult to put him straight into a Premier League side, isn't it, champion? So I think a more experienced centre-back is what they needed.
How much was the level of concern from Liverpool after what happened at the weekend, if at all? Defensively seemed to be the big talking point.
Defensively, Dan, it was always on the cards. I spoke to a couple of the sporting directors. They are always going to buy a centre defender.
Right.
It was just a matter of when. I don't think losing to Crystal Palace, sped up that process any differently. That was always a priority for them. Isak is the icing on the cake if that comes around, but certainly the defenders are the ones.
You agree, Nedum?
Yeah, I do, but I think the forward line is potentially an issue as well. Just because when you see the players that have either left or, for different reasons this summer, they do feel a little bit light up there as well. And it's not to say that, if somebody like, say, Gakpo doesn't play, yeah, maybe you could have somebody else step in, maybe like a Harvey Elliott and so on. But after that, then what is there? So I think I'm a bit concerned from that standpoint. And I thought towards the end of the game as well on the weekend, they played with like a false nine, didn't they? So maybe that's an option that he's looking at. But I think the defensive side of things is more important. And I would argue that Mark Guéhi, for as good as he is, it's a weird signing if he goes there because he's not going to be playing every week. I think the needs that you've just mentioned there are somebody who's going to be filling in for Konate and Van Dijk, one of the best defensive pairings in all of Europe. So for Guéhi in a year before a World Cup... Yeah,
I agree with that.
Realistically, is that a move that is going to be beneficial for him? Probably not.
I think what most people don't realise is that Liverpool have signed 4 people and spent a lot of money. But they've also sold a lot. They've sold more people, actually. And some of the fringe players, of course, the goalkeeper, Jarell Quansah, Tyler Morton went out. And there's, Liverpool have got 3 left-backs at the moment, so one of them may go. So there's more people have left the club than have been signed. So, I'm with Nedum. In an ideal world, I'd buy another forward.
Right.
Diaz has gone, Nunez has gone. Of course, the tragic Diego Jota incident situation, that was awful. So they've lost 3 forwards and they've only brought in Vert and Ekitike. So if they want to bring in another forward, I'd gladly want them to bring in a forward, but I just think the centre defensive area is more important at this moment in time. But I still think they will invest because they brought in a lot of money on the other side.
Yes.
And their net spend is about £100 million, which is not a lot when you do the maths from last year and this year. So I think they've still got plenty of money left.
I'm thinking the Isak signing would be more important for Liverpool at this point. Let's be honest, if there's a choice between Isak and Guéhi, Isak gets into the starting 11, no question. And I think Ekitike accepts a role of coming off the bench and playing in cup games a lot easier than maybe Guéhi would. And then I'm with Nedum on this. Guéhi gets signed. I don't think he gets into the starting 11 straight away, So while it's great to have that cover, and you're asking a lot of Van Dijk, who's into his 30s now, Konate to be playing, 50 or 60 games a season. Guéhi is not guaranteed games unless those injuries happen. Whereas again, up the other end of the park, Isak straight in. And Ekitike accepts his role as being a bit part player and kind of growing into the Liverpool shirt over the next couple of seasons.
I don't think they're linked. I think they can do. They can do all of the deals.
Agreed.
But I think the sticking point is, do you pay 150 million for Alexander Isak? And the answer is no. They're not going to pay that much. If they can come to a happy medium between 110 and 150, I think the deal could be done. But I don't think Liverpool are going to pay £150 million for Alexander Isak.
Meanwhile, there was a lot of celebration amongst Liverpool fans when, of course, Salah and Van Dijk put pen to paper on a new contract. They weren't good at the weekend.
No.
Is that a concern at all?
No, not at all. I think you're talking about two very, very experienced players who had an off day.
That's it?
I would say that's it, yeah. And I think for, say, Salah, for example, who's playing alongside a Frimpong for the first time in a game of that sort of scale. So the relationships that he's had previously with Alexander-Arnold or, even Conor Bradley, for example, stuff which you've seen established, you know how it's going to work. And he's also trying to link up with Ekitike. These are all quality players, but it takes time to get into a rhythm to understand how things are going to be. And I think the performance that we saw from Liverpool, that might be their worst one that we'll see for months now. They've got the capability to get better and better. A manager's going to see what needs to be done. And I think Salah and Van Dijk themselves don't know how to manage their individual performances, but then also go forward and help the collective. So I'm not concerned. And to add to it, a big point from the weekend, which I don't think gets spoken about enough, Gravenberch wasn't playing. When you see the players that have played for Liverpool in the last year, Gravenberch playing in that 6th row is a big deal for them.
Yeah.
And I think if he was playing alongside a McAllister, then maybe Wirtz can have a different type of...
Who also didn't play. He came on sub. So, there's a number of question marks over the performances, as Nedum rightly said. I wouldn't draw anything into it whatsoever.
And should we get that picture of young Macca back as well to take a look at
that was good.
your Premier League picks? Macca, I imagine Liverpool are number 1 for you?
Well, yeah, of course.
That's it. Let's all go home. That's all done.
Well, I mean, they won the league at a canter last year. They've invested well. They're going to invest again. So it's only right that I choose them. I've chose Manchester City second because of their investment. I just like the way that Pep's gone about choosing his players and the way they've played. I think the Club World Cup might, with Rodri's injured at the minute, which I hate because he's a fantastic player who's had terribly bad luck. I'd like to see him back, and I think he'll make City tick better. But their signings, I think, were good signings, and even Arsenal signings. I love Zubamendi, and they bought the centre forward that they need.
Right.
So they'll be better. But I think it was only natural to go with Liverpool.
Well, I suppose the concern is that other teams have got a lot better and then City won't be as bad as they were last season.
No.
Arsenal won't be dropping the points in the same manner in which they did as well. So that's why maybe it's going to be a lot closer.
I'll go along with that. As I said, I put Manchester City second above Arsenal because of those concerns. I just think City and Chelsea playing in the Club World Cup, I just think it'll take them a lot longer to sort of get into gear. So that's the one thing at the back of my mind that keeps worrying me. The fact that they've had a lot of the players had a hard summer the year before. They've had another hard summer this year. They've got the World Cup coming over. That was in my thought process when I ventured towards Liverpool, who've had a really good summer off.
It's interesting you've got Manchester City second ahead of Arsenal. Defensively, City still have got a lot of questions to answer, haven't they?
Well, yes, but they bought a lot of players in January. They bought more players.
But no defenders. No, well, Nori obviously on the left.
Yeah,
but you still...
They bought in the Ukrainian, the lad from Georgia, was it, as well? So and the Vita Rice came in. So they've got more players there. I mean, this is the players they brought in recently. They brought players in January.
Yeah, the ones in January didn't light up the defence.
No, but it doesn't matter. They've had 6 months at Manchester City. They know the system. They know Pep. They know their teammates. They're older. They're more experienced. So I expect them to be better than what they have. Coupled with the new signings, who are certainly Reinders, Cherki and Aït-Nouri are experienced and know European football and know the Premier League. So I think City will be a lot better in that respect.
May I?
Go on.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah. I think a big deal for City last year defensively, because in the years gone by when they've won the league, people might not like the look of their defence, but they'd always end up with either the best or second best defensive record. That was something that would happen. And last year, Nathan Ake, Manuel Akanji, Ruben Diaz, John Stones were all in and out of the team for the entirety of the season with injury.
With injuries,
Yeah, and so this was for a long period of time. And at that point... Yeah, listen, we're former City colleagues. Yeah, you forgot that, didn't you?
If City lose 6 players through bad injuries, or Liverpool lose 6 players through bad injuries, they will not win the league. 100%. We understand that. So there's reasons why teams struggle, and City struggled last year because of the reasons that Nedum said. And they could.
That's an easy out, though.
No, but
it's an easy out because they lost Rodri and because they didn't have a solid back four.
Why were Arsenal not as good last season?
Well, obviously they missed players as well.
Oh, no
But then
way.
the problem with Arsenal is they didn't have a striker. They've addressed that.
Is that what it was?
That was a big reason.
And City,
last year.
and City have addressed their problems. Players are fitting well.
Right.
They bought more players in January and bought more
but
players
then we kind of throw in, well, the only reason Liverpool won the league is because they didn't have any big injuries to their big players.
That is
throughout
part-
the
that is-
season.
that is
and
part-
then this is kind of part of a cycle. I think injuries is too much of an easy out.
No, it's not.
Looking at this City size.
What I would say, it depends firstly for me, and this is general for like any team. It depends on the number of injuries and the injuries themselves. Because, for example, with Arsenal, Shaka being missing is a huge deal because previously Shaka had played basically every game for Arsenal through the years where we saw and we thought maybe he could win a Premier League title. All of a sudden he goes and now they have to play differently. You know, you're looking at, say, the point at the end of the season where they didn't even have a striker. You know, you're having midfielders going to play up front and so on. And from a City perspective, defensively, there was a point where they were playing with a guy called Jemai Simpson-Poussey. Do you know him? You don't know him. Well, it's just signed for Celtic anyway, but the year before, he was in the Youth Cup team for City, yeah? So he's in that team where normally he never would have been.
Oh, poor City.
Nobody's trying to say poor City.
I don't understand why that's relevant. Did he play the whole season? Did they need him
played
all season?
that middle third of the season when they were the worst that we've seen in years. That's when he was playing in that key point.
I still think a fully fit City last season would have had similar problems that they had.
I disagree. Because what are you basing that off?
I'm basing off the fact that when they had everyone back, they still couldn't do it.
When was this? When was this at the end of the season?
Right, okay, so you're going to point to Rodri.
No, I'm not talking about Rodri. I'm not talking about Rodri. When is this then? When are you talking about?
You look at that run they had towards the end of the season, yes?
Yeah.
When they had a lot of players back.
Yeah.
They did very well.
Yeah.
And a lot of City players and a lot of City fans point to this.
Yeah.
There's still a City's team that lost the FA Cup final.
The FA Cup final, that's where you're going to go down to. That's the specific one.
Am I not allowed
about.
to do that? You want one chance to say, well, I'm not allowed to mention the FA Cup final.
You mentioned the whole period of time and then you mentioned one specific game.
Right.
So that whole period of time doesn't matter.
So that's not allowed.
The point I'm trying to make in regards to that is in the last 19 games of the season,
yes,
Man City got more points than anyone else in the league.
Right.
Some of that's down to Liverpool having already won the league towards the end.
Yeah, a very mediocre league.
But that's Dan Thomas of ESPN, by the way.
No, I don't think there's any.
But the point I'm trying to make was the fact that they got better when they had their players back.
Right.
And even though it went under the radar and it was unglamorous for some people, that was more of the City that we're used to seeing. So going into this next season with players striving to be fitter, to be available for longer, the manager, for once, as is the case with other managers, they pick the team that they believe is the best team, not the team that they have to pick based on who's available. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's okay, cool.
And also, you can't take, with all respect, you can't take one random game. Go and watch.
That's what he's trying to do.
Go, listen.
Oh my God. So all of a sudden, Manchester City, who'd won 4 titles in a row, absolutely fall off a cliff. And yet we're all supposed to applaud the fact they had a good run in the second half of the season because they got all their players back.
I've only said that because of what you've been saying.
No questions. I've picked Liverpool to win, and you're trying to pick holes in Liverpool, and you're trying to pick holes in
City. Hey, here comes the Arsenal segment now. Here we go. Go on, Dan. Talk about Arsenal.
Oh, sorry, we're not in the UK now. Oh, no, thank you so much for your opinions. We love you so much.
Shaka,
please come back.
Shaka, don't say a word.
Shaka, you ask the questions.
I'm staying out of this entirely. Oh boy!
What a
who do you think's going to win the league?
Nobody.
I think Arsenal going to win.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah, do you now? Oh, brilliant! Why do you think Arsenal are going to win?
They got their striker.
And what, Jokeres is going to do what? Score 50 goals?
He's scored a lot of goals, hasn't he? A lot of goals for Arsenal. City still can't defend.
Yeah.
Your boys do faces, problems.
Arsenal set pieces, all that.
Arsenal haven't bought 5 players to help their team, have they? No, they haven't bought anybody.
No.
Shaka.
Yeah?
Who's your predictions?
I've got Liverpool to win the league.
How dare you have Liverpool?
Arsenal second, City third.
Sixth, yeah?
Yeah.
Sunderland going down, yeah?
I'm contracted to have Sunderland going down. This is part and parcel. But yeah, I think it comes down, and Chelsea fourth. Again, it comes to that front, that top 3. I just feel, again, Liverpool showed themselves as the best team in the league. They've had the best transfer window as well this summer, so I make them favourites yet again going into this one. Arsenal, I think adding the striker and Gyökeres is exactly what they needed, but for them to finish second, Gyökeres has got to get 25, 30 goals. You've got to get a similar return from Saliba, from their defence, from their set pieces, from Gabriel. Everything that went well last season has to be maintained, and you add Gyökeres getting 25 or 30, I think that's the only way Arsenal keep it tight with those top three. And I don't think there'll be an awful lot between the top.
Staying healthy as well, Dan. You know, no injuries and stuff. That's the key part. Yeah.
What's that?
Injuries, you know. That's the key
Injuries?
Part, yeah,
Hey, none of you have got Manchester United in the top 6. Would you like to address that?
No.
Why not?
Because they finished so far down the league.
15th.
Yes, they brought in Cunha and Buemo and Sesko, but they've let a lot of...
I suppose people would argue, well, Tottenham finished lower and you've got them finishing 6th.
Yeah, I just think the manager will turn their team around. I like some of the signings. Unfortunately, James Maddison's been injured. I don't like that at all before the season's kicked off. I just think Manchester United need to bring in a few more players. For me, at this moment in time, if they brought in a centre midfield and a centre defender, I might put them higher. But I just don't think in Buemo, Sesko and, and Cunha, they don't excite me enough, to be very honest. The nice signings for Man United fans, I get that, but I'm not particularly that bothered about them. I like João Pedro, for instance, for Chelsea, more than Cunha, really.